I'm going to introduce to you Sarah Gunderson. She's the program director for the Master of Science of International Economics and Finance. So Sarah, go right ahead.
Okay, welcome everyone. I wish we could meet in person, but I guess I guess we're stuck with Zoom today. Just a little bit about myself. I have been here for 9 years. It's my second year as program director. And I'm an economist. My field is development economics and econometrics, which is statistics. Don't let that scare you. It's pretty awesome. But just to talk a little bit about the program. So basically, the program has core coursework in microeconomics, macroeconomics, international economics, international policy, political economy, and statistics. And I know a lot of those things are intimidating to you. We've made some changes recently so that they should not be intimidating to you. Specifically, when you enter, you will be taking classes with each other. So ICP students and IEF students are going to take some foundational courses together. We've actually eliminated any economics prerequisites. We found that some of our best students came from diverse backgrounds. So backgrounds like business or political science, sociology, things like that, we think would be a really good fit. So basically you'll come in and we will talk you through, work you through a lot of the economic concepts. So the second point here is application-based courses. If you want to go back, Monica, thank you. Basically, we are no longer going to be doing, highly theoretical, you need to know calculus-based courses. What we're going to do is run them like with real-world examples. So, for example, for microeconomics, rather than derive some optimal point, what you might do is you might say, well, suppose you're in charge of the oil industry in Venezuela, although that's not a good example, in Russia or something like that. How would you evaluate what price to charge, things like that. And then we have 3 courses within our program that ICP does not. We share 6 courses together, but our unique courses are econometrics, time series analysis, and applied data science. All of those are super marketable. If you ever hear data scientists make a lot of money, that's accurate. And then you also get experience in SAS, which is the statistical software. It's really hard to get training in SAS because a license costs a lot of money, but students get access to it and we have licenses here. And so actually starting next fall, you should be able to get the certificate in applied econometrics and data science using SAS without taking any extra classes. So that's just if you take your electives the right way. Okay, so let's see the next one. So we have eliminated prerequisites largely. For our class or for our program, you do need to have some sort of college level math. We will accept a GRE score, but you do not have to take the GRE. And some sort of statistics class, although your first semester you will take a research methods class. So if it's been a while, you don't need to worry about that. And then one other thing is that we are STEM certified. So for international students, that means you qualify for 3 years of OPT, optional practical training, versus 1 for most programs. Let's see if there's anything else. Yeah, so unique features of our program, super small class sizes. So I taught an econometrics class this fall with 5 students. Super personalized attention. I'm the advisor to all the students. I know their specific career goals. I help them choose classes. It's actually a super affordable master's program. Monica can talk about that, but it's very competitive in terms of the cost. You can complete it in 18 months if you do it full time. And if you were a Valpo undergrad, we can talk about this later. I don't know if any of you were. There's something called an early entry option, which can save you some money. Okay, and so just going through the curriculum, you can take a look at this on the website. Some highlights are the theory and applications courses. Those are going to be application-based courses, and you don't need to have taken economics before you start them. And then the economics of financial markets is a new course. And I have to tell you, the stuff that's going on in financial markets right now is insanely interesting. So you would be covering you'd be really studying interesting things at the moment. Okay, so then there's a statistical analysis component, a professional and leadership skills component, and then just basically a series of electives. You would need to take 2 courses from these options here. And we can talk about those if any of you are interested in the program, and then an additional elective. So I'm happy to answer questions. I think we might go over to Jacob next, but you can email me or ask me questions when we're done here as well.
Okay, I guess that's my cue to come in. Sarah, thank you. You've done quite a bit of the work that I was going to talk about. But so let me introduce myself. My name is Professor Sitati. My background is interesting because my background is actually in law. Okay, so I did my undergrad, I did economics and political science for my undergrad, did my law school, and then went back, did a master's of law, then did a master's, actually did the ICP program at Valpo. This was 12 years ago. So I've seen the change within the ICP program from when I was a student after my law school experience, and then as a professor here. Now, I'm originally from Kenya. My accent did not give me away. I speak the Queen's English, British English, the real stuff, okay? So, but anyway, that being said, I notice some of our students who have joined us, I believe one could be a fellow countryman of mine, John Daiger. John, I'm waving at you here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Good, John. I'm looking at your name and I'm profiling you. You're my brother.
I'm actually from Kenya as well.
Yes. Yeah. I'm profiling you right there just by looking at your name. Anyway, let me talk a little bit about the program. So the ICP program, what I love about this program, in a nutshell, is it's really a combination of law, policy, and the economics, okay? And then there's a business background that kind of addresses everything. So that's what the ICP program is. So it's international commerce and policy. But really what we're doing is we are combining this interdisciplinary course, okay? And it is majorly exciting because how you get exposure to an interdisciplinary faculty and you get access to a skill set that makes you very competitive when you get out. So if we move on to the next slide, think about the world today. Think about the business community today. And if you see what some of our students would say, actually, Monica, if you go back to the previous slide, Tori was my student in 2014. Tori is a vice president with HSBC Bank, okay? And I reached out to Tori and I asked Tori, can you write me a paragraph and tell me what did you benefit from the ICP program? And this is what Tori said, I employ the skills I gained at Valpo's grad school on a daily basis, and I'm putting towards PowerPoint presentations, because in my classes, you will have to present. And the reason you have to present is I tell my students, when you walk out of my program and out of this class, when you go to work, you'll be expected to present. So in the classroom setting, this is where you hone that skill of presentation. We are friends here. You can make mistakes. At your workplace, you cannot afford to make a mistake. That's your paycheck on the line. But here, as a student, you can make these mistakes and learn from your mistakes. So those are some of the things that we do. We give you a wide background of experience. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. So what does the program entail essentially? Political science, law, cultural and social aspects of commerce. That's the social science aspect of your education. It's 36 credits in total. And what we prepare you for is to get out to either public sector or private sector. I have students who work for top corporations like Boeing, HSBC. I have students who work for public sector. I have students who are in Silicon Valley, okay? All these are alumni I am in touch with and we keep up with. So it's a degree that gives you the opportunity to really be open to what you want to do. And depending on your interests, you can fine-tune your electives to focus on what it is you're trying to do. Let's move on to the next slide, okay? So if you look at the core requirements, I think you students coming into the ICP program, especially this year, you're coming in at a perfect time because we just revamped your curriculum. And what we did is we decided to make it a lot more interdisciplinary so that you're exposed to our political science faculty, to our economics faculty, and then to ourselves, the ICP faculty. So as you can see, your core curriculum, you'll take some of your classes with the international economics and finance students. Your classes are combined, okay? So you'll be together with international economics students for the first part of the curriculum. Then after that, you're going to break out into strictly ICP programs. So your core classes, you're going to meet me with IPE. I teach the IPE class. I teach the 662 international competitiveness. Those are my two favorite. Those are the two foundational classes of of ICP. And those are the two classes that bring in all the policy, all the economics, all the business, all the politics. Those are the classes that really bring those concepts together. Understanding what countries do, why countries are the way they are, the international political economy, but then also understanding why countries compete and how they compete in the global economy, okay? So then after that, we also have a law class, the law and legal principles, which is a very basic law class, which gets you to understand the underlying opinions of the American legal system, but also how law works globally. So in that class, what I do is, while we learn about the basics of American law, the American legal system, how it works, when you watch Trump on TV, he says some things, then you always see constitutional law professors and people in the news saying, he can't do that, he can't do that. We talk about the basics of why he can't do that. We don't get into the weeds, no, but we talk about the basic idea governing the principles of law in this country. But then go to do a comparative study and look at laws in other countries. Then if you look at the electives, as you can see, we have a big group of elective courses. What we do is we determine which electives to offer based on student interest and based on faculty available at the time. Now, normally, there was a time, and this is interesting because back in 2010, 2011, the ICP program, the IEF programs were really, really big, okay? And when I talk really big, I'm talking about 40, 45 students almost, okay? And that meant we could offer a whole array of classes, okay? And we'd still be able to have a good global population of students, but that has changed. So now, even though we have all these electives available, we normally tailor them to suit the interests of the students. So the current student population figure, so before the end of the semester, we will do an assessment and ask students which are the electives that you're interested in, and then based on that, we get to determine and plan and let you see what's available for the offerings. But as you can see, we have a bunch of electives available, and the beauty of having a wide variety of electives is it allows you to get exposure to a lot of different faculty. Okay, so you get to interface and meet with a number of different faculties, a lot of different experiences. So that's a benefit to you. We can move on to the next slide.
That's very nice.
And then we also have finally a thesis option, which rarely do students take this, but we have had in the past 4 years, I've had 2 students who have taken the thesis options, and both of them have gone into PhD programs. Okay, so typically students who take the thesis option are students who want to go into PhD programs. So normally if you're a student who wants to do that, we will advise you to take the thesis option. But like I said, it's rarely taken and we have a minority of students who do it. But we have those who have done it and have gone on to do PhDs either in political science, PhDs in economics, PhDs in other social science programs. We also had a student go into a PhD in international relations. So it has varied, but it is an option that's available for students if you're interested in doing that. Okay. Let me see, is there anything else? Well, then this is now more detail about the graduate school, but to pretty much sum it up before Monica comes in and maybe you guys can have some questions for us, is the ICP degree is think about it this way, I'll give you an example of myself. I am a father of 2 little boys. I'm in my basement right now, so I've chased them upstairs so you can't see them. But I have 2 little boys. One is 7 and one is 10. And they look at me and they look at their mom very differently. I am the utility guy. When something is broken, Papa fix this. Papa, this is messed up. Papa, this is that. Then mom is mom. Mom has her duties. The ICP degree is a very utility type degree. It's very utilitarian in the sense with the background in ICP, your options are wide open. Literally, you decide where you want to go. If you want to join the foreign service, like Patrick, if the foreign service is something you're interested in doing, the ICP degree is a strong foundation. We have a number of students who have taken the ICP, graduated the ICP and gone on to foreign service.
Yeah,
if you decide if what you want to do, if what you want to do is say, I want to go and do analytical work with a company, the ICP degree, the alumni I can connect you with, who can talk to you, who have done that. If you want to go into public service, there are people I can connect you to who you can talk to who have gone into public service. So you have the options. You're given a wide variety in the skill set and the knowledge base that allows you to be able to go and be comfortable in applying these different arenas. In fact, we've even had students who were in the military come into the ICP program and then gone back to continue and further their military careers. You know, these are senior officers, but they're going to continue with the knowledge base now that they have of the global economy and political issues and all that. So very versatile degree, and something where in this global economy that we're going into, I think is very, very timely. I think I'll leave this for questions. If there are any questions for us to answer with Sarah, and we can take it up from there.
Yes, definitely. Thank you, Jacob. Definitely feel free to ask questions. We are going to allow for questions also towards the end. And then if you wanted to email us to maybe have a separate conversation, that's something that we would be happy to do as well. I listed a few of our contacts for the graduate school. We're a small department, but we really want to make sure that you get all your questions answered, whether it's through the beginning stages or whether it's regarding onboarding. Especially during this time, we want to make sure that you are reassured through this admissions process, and we want to make sure that you're getting your questions answered. I like to conduct Zoom meetings with students that have any particular questions. So if you want to schedule a phone call with me or a Zoom call with me at a later time, I'm more than happy to do that. Ryan Segali and I are within the admissions department. So we work with students in the initial phase of the application process. So any questions regarding application processing, what items you need to still submit, status updates, admission discussions, all is done with Ryan and myself. Jessica Segali and Stephanie are within the academic and student services. So they work with students on symposiums, graduation, commencement, dean's list, all things that are involved with being a current and active student. So you'll be working with all of us, typically depending on the stage that you are in throughout the life cycle as a student here at Valpo. Just a quick overview. Yes?
No, I was just going to ask a question to Dr. Sitati. What do you think is the difference on the return on investment for students that pursue a thesis track versus a typical general coursework in the master's program for ICP? Is there a difference?
Yes. I think what I would say, and this is what I strongly advise students, is if your goal is to go into a PhD program, if you want to pursue a PhD after your master's, then yes, I would suggest the additional 3 credits is definitely worth your while. Okay, but if you're not sure about whether you want to pursue a PhD program or not, then I would say no, don't. The 3 credits is just additional 3 credits you're getting, and it doesn't add any more value if you're not pursuing a PhD. It normally looks good when you're applying for the PhD, and this is what even the former students have told us. When you're in your application process, you can show that you did go through this process of already preparing a thesis and being able to defend it, okay? Because that shows some experience in the process, and you already have an understanding of what it's going to be, what it's going to take. Because again, once you get into PhD studies, you'll realize that the master's program prepares you to do the studying that you do, the individual study that you do at the PhD level. Okay.
So you don't. I'm sorry. So you don't need to pursue the thesis track to apply for a PhD program, or
no.
Okay.
No, you don't. But I think it will be an added benefit if you
Gotcha.
did, because
definitely.
it will assist you in the application process.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You'll be a stronger candidate, essentially.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you very much. Thank you.
That's a great question. Thank you.
No problem. No problem.
One thing that we always like to point out is we do have close to 500 students currently at the graduate school. So we make a good chunk of the entire enrollment at Valparaiso University. We do have several countries that are represented, and we actually do represent a lot of students from different countries within the graduate school, even moreover the undergraduate class. We try to provide in-demand fields. We just introduced a trauma-informed care certificate. So the graduate certificate offerings will vary because we try to make sure that our programs are in demand, or programs that you're going to want to obtain, especially now in this current climate when you're unsure as to what the future may be. A lot of undergraduate students are now thinking of possibly pursuing a graduate program during this time. Some of our programs are accredited, especially through accredited programs. We do see a decrease of international students only because a lot of those programs are more clinical mental health counseling, school psychology within the school system, but we do have a great diverse class within programs like ICP, IEF, MBA. Those are programs that we find that are a lot more broader internationally, and you can definitely utilize those depending on if you're planning on going back home to your home country or working in the United States.
Okay, I've got a question on the funding for the course. Do you offer student loans and other source of fundings for the program for students?
We do. As far as I'll separate it by domestic versus international. For international students, we don't provide any financial assistance, but there are scholarships available for students. Those are awarded at the time of admission, and they range from $2,000 to $6,000 for the first semester. They are mostly based on merit, and I don't have any control as to how they're dispersed, but if a student is eligible for a scholarship, they will receive that at the point of admission in their admissions email once they receive a decision. There's also opportunity to be for graduate assistantship. Again, that varies based on the department, based on the semester, what is available. We have students within our office that work for us and receive assistantship opportunities, and depending if they're graduating or if they're pursuing an internship, then we have availability within our department. And that is also true for other departments as well. For domestic students, there is an option to complete a FAFSA form, and the max amount is $20,500. And that's something I provided a slide for our financial aid office if you have any questions in regards to budgeting for financial assistance and also for your own funding. For international students, we also require a proof of financial support, which I also will talk a little bit more on a slide later on.
Okay.
So that's something that we can talk a little bit more in depth to, and it will also depend once you do apply, and if you do receive some form of scholarship, we can always determine what what the total amount will be. And I have a little worksheet that helps you out in what you would need to complete in your form for the proof of financial support once you do apply. So that's something I can send you.
Also, let me make a comment here especially for Mr. Ndaiga. Are you currently based in the United States, or are you in Kenya?
I'm currently not in Kenya. I'm winding up on my undergraduate degree in the Republic of North Cyprus. Okay. So I think it's easier if you're not if you're not coming from all the way back home and you're already finalizing with an undergraduate program. Yeah.
It's much easier to make a transition coming in.
That's correct.
Yes, so that's why I'm actually working on moving from here to USA rather than going back to Kenya
Good. Okay. Brilliant.
Mhm.
That's a better idea.
A few benefits of being a graduate student: we understand you're working professionals and you're not going to be on campus as often as undergraduate students, but we do have things that help you stay involved within the university. We have a graduate student advisory council where you can advocate for graduate students. We do try to provide several social events, not too many, but enough to feel engaged and to catch up with, Jacob or Sarah. We do try to host banquets, and I think it's nice to be able to get together in a different setting other than in a classroom. So we really like to host those. We also have a graduate banquet. We host orientations to get you assimilated into classes and for you to get to know different student services and different contexts while you start your process here. We also try to do academic and classroom support. One thing that Sarah mentioned, and also Jacob, was just the small classroom sizes. It's really nice for professors to be able to know their students by name, to know what they're up to once they complete their graduate degree, to be able to refer you as a mentor. So that's something that we really try to encourage our students, that and reassure them that you're going to have professors that are really going to be there and that are going to know who you are. And I think that makes a big difference in your professional studies and your success here at Valpo.
And just to add on to that, I'm very much involved in my students, just like Sarah mentioned, the small class sizes. I used to play a game with my undergraduate students that was because I used to do this with my graduate students, and it was easy. I used to tell them, by the end of the first week, if I don't know your name, I will buy you a coffee, a Starbucks coffee. Because I'm a coffee guy. Coffee is my poison. And with my students, you will learn that. I love coffee. And a white chocolate mocha, that's my drink. So I used to tell my grad students, by the end of the week, I don't know your names, buy you coffee. We'll go to Starbucks, I'll buy you coffee, right? I tried that with my undergraduate students, and you know what? I failed miserably, and I learned a lesson, because my undergrad classes are about 25, 30 students, because I have an interdisciplinary class, but the maximum student population is 30 students. So that class only has 30 students. And I couldn't remember all their names, even in the sitting chat. But my grad students, my biggest class, like I said, since 2016, my biggest class has been, I think, 15 students at grad school. Normally they range between 8 and 12.
That's a really nice size.
Yeah, and 12 being really, really big.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
So it's very personable. We know you. Yeah. When I wrote a recommendation letter for you, it's not a generic letter. When I'm writing a recommendation letter for Patrick, I know Patrick. When I'm writing a recommendation letter for John, I know John. I'm not just, and the person who's reading it can see that I know John, I know Patrick. I'm not just writing a generic letter which you can plop Monica's name, you can plop Sarah's name, and it works. No, this is something that's tailored to you, because my interaction with you in all my classes makes me know you. The same way you'll get to know me, So I think that's also very important about our program.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be awesome. Really nice. Really nice.
And that's very true. Working with undergraduate students, when I worked in admissions for undergrad, it is just a larger number naturally. And with graduate school, it's really nice to be able to, for our staff, even within the graduate school, for us to remember you from the point of admission to when you graduate. It's really nice to see that process. So it's really nice that, you have those close bonds within your cohort. Once you're in graduate school, because there is a difference between undergrad and grad school. Grad school is more of a professional program. And so it's really nice to be able to go back to your professors and ask them for recommendations, because they're going to attest to your ability a lot more than maybe a professor in your undergrad.
Is the workload different in graduate school? Is it similar in terms of essay writing and all of that, or is it more like hands-on, I guess? Is it?
Let me have Sarah go first, then I'll speak to ICP.
For sure.
I think that it varies by program. I do find that a lot of our students feel that every piece of writing and reading is for a reason versus just completing a project. The reason why 9 credit hours is full-time is because the workload is more in some way, but to me, the graduate school and our programs are more professional programs. So everything that you're learning is applicable to the real world. And you're not getting a lot of filler classes. They're all going to be classes that are going to benefit you for your professional goals.
Yeah, I would agree. So I taught 2 econometrics classes this fall. One was undergraduate and the other was graduate. And the graduate class had more work in terms of just more, like you said, hands-on. Like I had an additional project. We actually went to the art museum on campus, and we had to value the work. It was really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, but the other thing is just slightly higher expectations, you know, but I don't find that many graduate students struggle. Like if you apply and we look at your application and we think that you're qualified, most of you guys do super well. And with our small class sizes, we'll work with you if you don't.
And
that'd be awesome.
Speaking from an ICP perspective, we don't give busy work. The one thing I tell my students is we will never, I and my fellow faculty, will never give you busy work. What we give you is what you need to do in order to meet the requirements of the program. However, we have a lot of group and outside of class activity. So you'll be expected to do a lot of outside of class work, which when you come in, we will spend a lot of time synthesizing and digesting it and comparing what people are doing and what results people are getting. Because like you realize grad programs, especially ICP, IEF, are more professionally suited. So they're very targeted in the skill set that you're getting. So whatever requirements that we're giving you to do, whatever outside of work that we're giving you to do, are geared towards accomplishing something. It's not just busy work for the purposes of checking a box.
Yeah, definitely.
It's something that's actually gaining or adding or trying to get you to go somewhere. So you're going to see the balance is the balance is such that you put in some time in class and a lot of time outside of class, but it all comes together to help complete the program.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. That sounds really nice.
Yeah, one of my students, I gave them their first exam and he said, you know, this is why this is so much better than undergrad, because it was there for a reason. Like, you expect me to know this for a reason. You've communicated why it's important, and that's what you tested me on. And it's not like it was easy, right? But it was like, it's not busy work. I would never give busy work.
And that's why I tell my students when they come to class, you know, this PowerPoint, for example, like the PowerPoint we're looking at right now, very detailed, very nicely done. I tend to do my PowerPoints for my classes similar to this. However, when I'm in class, I tell my students, don't bother looking at the PowerPoint. Just listen to me. And let's talk. Let's engage. Because after class, I'm sending you this on your blackboard. You're going to get this. Okay? All I wanted was for you to look at the PowerPoint. I know you can read and you can write. So don't come to class and just copy notes and, you know, and transcribe. I don't want you to do that. What I want you to do is listen to me, let's engage, let's talk, let's debate. In fact, one of the things international students normally struggle with, especially students coming from African countries and Asian countries, is they're very submissive in nature because of the kind of instruction. You know, all of us who went to British systems, you know, professors come into class, they lecture, they walk out. It's not really a conversation, it's not a discussion. The American system is more Socratic. You know, you come, you engage, you talk, you debate, you agree, you disagree, but you have that conversation. And I tell my students, let's have that conversation. So class is about that. Class is for us to come and debate the issues, for me to give you guidance, but we're debating the issues, you're understanding why this makes sense, why this is the way it is, then you go out and you apply it. When you apply it, you come back to class, and then we continue that conversation and we keep building on that conversation.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. That sounds awesome.
Those are really great points. Thank you. Now we'll move on with the admission requirements. I did separate it by U.S. applicants versus international, just to distinguish some additional requirements that we do require of our international students. Both students must complete an application profile. Some students or applicants get a little bit confused that they need to submit all items prior to submitting the profile, but we actually prefer that you submit the profile. then you're given access to a portal in which you can then submit the rest of your documents. So if you have any questions on that, I'll be happy to help you and let you know if you fully submitted, but you should know it'll take you to your portal. One thing that we do require for all students is a reflective essay, 1 to 2 pages, just discussing what your goals are, professional goals, why that you think this program would impact your professional development, just so program directors like Sarah and Jacob could get to know you a little bit more than just your application form. They want to get to know you as an applicant as the best way as possible. Another way to get to know you is through your recommendation letters. We do require 2. We have an online recommendation form in your portal, so you can send them a form, and we find that we get a lot quicker turnaround. It's more of a form questionnaire, and it's really nice because as someone who writes a lot of letters or recommendations, I find that it's really easy. I can complete it really quickly, and I'm more inclined to complete it faster than writing a paper. But we do accept formal recommendation letters as well, and they can send it directly to me if you have any questions. We do require official transcripts. We do know that in this certain climate that some universities only have paper options, especially within international countries. If you can get an unofficial copy to us, that would help us greatly because we can still look at that and then just require your official transcript before registering for classes, so we can at least still process your application. A lot of schools here in the US now have an e-script or parchment service where you can get it sent electronically. We love that because we get it within 24 to 48 hours, and it's a lot easier than having to get it mailed out to us. We do have an application fee, but for anyone that emails me or has a meeting with me or that attends the Zoom, we'd like to waive that application fee because we find that just meeting us and being able to have that interaction is just really nice, and we'd like to give you a thank you by waiving your fee. For international applicants, most items are the same. We do require an English language proficiency document, but we do waive that for students that are from majorly English-speaking countries like Kenya and some other countries. So if you ever have a question about needing to submit that, and especially right now, since a lot of countries are on lockdown, you don't have to worry about that. If you are from a country like Kenya, Germany, where some students do go and attend English-speaking universities, we typically don't have those issues. We do offer more details within our website as to what scores are required for the IELTS, the TOEFL, the PTE. If you're taking an ESL program, that's something that we accept as well. We also require proof of financial support, and that's something that is not only required of us, but it's in order for us to submit your I-20. So that's going to be crucial in order for us to send your information over so you can come and schedule your visa appointment and be able to come over for your orientation. So that's something that we will require. We have more details on our website that provides the forms, what we consider a sponsor, and if you're getting this funded by a bank, a family member, yourself, we want to have those details so we can provide that. And then we also need a copy of your passport. So that's something that if you want to just scan it over and send it to us, that will suffice.
Just for the international students, and here I'm speaking directly to Ms. Ndaiga, I think this is an interesting time in this country, especially now that we have had this virus situation and universities and businesses, and we're seeing what you're seeing globally. I have my own analysis, talking to a couple of people, is that I think the State Department is going to be a lot more welcoming to let international students come in to help universities. Okay, so at least I'm assuming that's kind of the analysis we're kind of hoping to see, that academic institutions could be some of the engines that help keep economies going. So I think if you apply early and get your documents together early, you stand a good, and not being in Kenya, already being where you are, I think you stand a good chance of getting an admission and being able to come in if everything is in order. Even the State Department, granting visas, when they finally open, I know they've closed for business for now, but when they finally reopen to start issuing visas closer to the fall, when they know students will be coming in, I think there's something that's going to happen. So in a weird kind of way, it's, I think, a good time for international students now. So but I mean, I'm not speaking factually, that's just my, like my analysis based on what my reading my own tea leaves and looking at what's going on out there.
And that's one thing that we do recommend for international students: apply as early as you can, because obtaining these documents doesn't just take a day, right? So you want to make sure that you can at least get your application profile in, and if you can work on getting your transcripts and slowly getting your documents, so you're not having to rush towards the end and having to worry about getting everything submitted at the last minute. Our deadline is May 15th. And the reason why we have deadline is because we want to have enough time for you to schedule those visa appointments. Of course, this situation's fluid, and it constantly, every day there's new updates and changes. So we want to make sure to reassure you that we'll do our best to help you. And if it means that you can't get your proof of financial support right away, we'll try to move forward with your application, but know that we'll need that in order to send your I-20. So there are some things that are out of our control, but we'll do our best to help you try to get these documents. And just email me, say, hey, Monica, I submitted this, but I'm not seeing this in my portal. What's going on? And I can at least let you know we have it, but we're just reviewing it right now, and that's why it's not marked off in your checklist. But don't worry about having to send it in again. So those are things that we'll try to do to at least reassure you that we have documents, or we're working on processing your application.
Okay, I've got a question on that. Am I eligible to start applying right now, bearing in mind I've not finished my degree? I have about 2 more months to go before I graduate.
That's very common. We have a lot of students that are in the process of completing their undergraduate degree. How it works is we typically provide a conditional acceptance. So what that means is we'll look at the current GPA that you currently have in your courses, and if that meets our admissions requirements and the program director views everything else and everything looks good, we can say you're admitted based on the condition that you complete your undergraduate degree before you start classes in the fall. So that's very common. We have a lot of students that go straight from undergrad and they want to complete their undergraduate degree, but also consider graduate school, and they're in that middle, close to the end stage. We get that often. We just want to make sure that we get your current transcript, and hopefully it's official, but we'll look at unofficial, and we'll give you an acceptance on the condition that you complete your undergrad and you still are able to keep that same GPA.
Also, I think it's going to help you also when it comes to the visa issue, because by the time you go into the State Department to get your visa, the consular is going to be able to see you're someone who is actually going on. You finished one program and you're going into the next one. You're trying to complete your course of study. It's actually going to be in your favor that you're literally in the process of moving from one and moving into another. So I think it's a benefit for you in that respect.
Yes, definitely. Now, as far as the application process goes, sometimes it could seem like it's very lengthy, but there's a lot that goes behind the scenes when we're processing an application. The first thing, once an application is completed, I do a final review and I send it over to the program director. The program director takes the most amount of time because they're actually looking at every single piece of documentation, and they're reviewing your transcripts, they're reviewing at all the prerequisites that are possibly necessary in order for you to enter in the program. They're looking at your recommendation letters, your reflective essay. So they're the ones that are going to take the most time with your application. Once they approve or make a decision on your application, then it goes over to our dean, graduate school. She trusts in the program director's decision and she just mostly signs off on it. And then we send it over for an application status update, which means you'll receive an email letting you know what the update is. It'll take you over to your portal, and then that's how you will find your decision. Most of the time we send a letter as well, so you have a physical copy, but having that email is really nice because you'll get a decision right away. You can say Valpo is your #1 choice. You want to confirm your intent to enroll. Then you can start working on the next steps of what you need to do in order to become a student here.
Okay, thank you.
So that's an email notification, mailed admissions letter, like I mentioned. Next is intent to enroll form. That's just letting us know that you've looked at your options and you want to make Valpo your choice. And then we will send you onboarding information regarding registration and orientation. The very first semester that you do register for classes, you will have to do it with your advisor. That you can't just do it on your own. And that's something that we want to make sure that we have a form for. We're registering for their appropriate classes. You're doing your final checks on what is necessary to start your semester, and then we register you for classes. Typically, that's done at orientation. That can be done sooner, though. Some students, right when they get admitted and classes are available for registration, they get with their advisor. So it just depends on the program. It depends on the advisor. So that's something that you definitely want to check with your advisor on. As far as tuition and fees, that's one thing that both mentioned, the affordability. You can see here that both programs are 36 credit hours, which is really nice compared to some other programs. And then you can see that we have some of the most affordable programs within that range. So $23,400, not including fees, but that will range within less than $1,000. We don't include living because you don't have to live on campus if you're a graduate student. We do have a lot of students that commute. We have students that will find housing or a place to live around campus. One thing that I do love about Valpo, it is more of a suburban area, but we're so close to Chicago, the dunes, a lot of surrounding suburbs, that there are a lot of options between apartment living, townhome, if you want to room with someone else. And I can provide you a list of options if you're seriously considering moving to Valpo or the surrounding area as to what places we've had other students gone and live by or near. Typically for the credit hours is $650, and then full-time student status is 9 credit hours minimum. So that's something if you want to budget in or think about if you want to go full-time or part-time, 9 credit hours starts at full-time status. And that's going to be important for international students to know, because we want you to be full-time. Yes, Patrick?
So, yeah, is that for the entirety of the program or just for 1 year of the tuition? Is that
so the $23,400 is the entirety of the program.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry. This program means the budget you said 23,400. Can we pay on the first time or by semester to semester?
You could pay semester to semester. So there are payment options, and that's something you can discuss with our registrar and student accounts as to how that would work. But we allow students to pay semester to semester if that's something that you need to do. And that's why I like to break it down per credit hour based on what you're going to budget. If you're looking to take 9 credit hours, 12 credit hours, 6 credit hours, you can definitely do more semester by semester if that is what you're looking to do.
Oh, thank you, sir.
No problem. If you have questions on financial aid, like I mentioned, our domestic students are able to complete a FAFSA form, and then your loan amount is different than what you're probably used to for undergrad. For undergrad, you have to be full-time status. It's based on credit hours. For graduate school, it's based on the year. So per year, the max loan you can take out is $28,500. Most students don't take out the full amount, especially because most grad programs within Valpo don't reach that amount per year. But if you need to budget, some students need to budget daycare costs, living costs. Sometimes they're wanting to take out only half or a portion because the other portion's either through their own funding or they have tuition remission. That's something that you can discuss with their financial aid representatives, and they can lay out a budget plan for you and a payment plan that will be, and it's all custom. So that's something that we always recommend that you reach out to financial aid, because there's some things that are just number-wise, you want to discuss all your personal information with one person, especially because they'll have your application for a FAFSA form. Here's the contact email They are limited staff currently, and so I think email is probably the best, and that way you have documentation if you ever need to refer back. It's really nice to have all of that via email. You can always go back and, if you ask them any initial questions, you can go back to your email and see what they were able to tell you based on your current need. We also would love if you can follow us on social media. Valpo Grad School is typically all our social media handles for Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. If you have any questions, some students will direct message us through there also. But we like to post any banquet photos, anything that's going on. So that's something if you want to feel a little bit more engaged, especially since we all can't be on campus. Our main Valpo page is also a good page to follow as well. Any questions that you may have for Jacob or Sarah that we can answer for you?
Yeah, I wanted to say, I really like what Patrick has been doing, which is he has been emailing me any question or any concerns that he has. And what I want to say is please email us. Email us, ask us questions. Sarah and I will respond to you with whatever information we have. We're here to serve you. We're here to help you make the best decision, make the right decision, and think through your decision. So even if you have concerns about how will I get through this, if I'm trying to work this out, we will work you and give you whatever ideas we have, because that's what we do. I work with students and I help them. I've helped students throughout my time teaching at Valpo figure out how to finish a program quickly, how to maybe do one program with something else in addition, because they really want to do they're interested in another class, but they still want to finish their program in time. We can help you figure out all the stuff. Just email us. We're accessible and we'll work with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, one other thing I wanted to mention is sometimes I'll get a student who, you look at the curriculum and they think, well, it's set in stone. And they might want to learn some, statistical software that's in none of the classes. And they're usually surprised when they talk to me because they'll say, oh yeah, we have a class that will count and I can substitute it for this other one or something. So we really can make it more tailored to your interests as well. So yeah, please email us. One other thing I forgot to mention is what our graduates do. Jacob did such a nice job of that. A lot of what our graduates do is analyst positions at the moment. And the reason is because those are super marketable. So in fact, I just got an email last week that a student got a business analytics job in South Carolina. And I said, man, that's impressive in this,
for sure it is.
recession right now.
Crazy.
So a lot of those, we've had students work for the Federal Reserve. We've had students work in accounting. We've had students work at banks. We've had students go get their PhD. So it's similar to what Jacob was saying as well. Diverse interests, but our students are generally quite employable. So just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, and I think let me reiterate Sarah's point on substituting classes. Students get very surprised when they realize how much influence we have in allowing them to substitute certain classes to meet a certain requirement, and they leave our offices smiling because they realize, oh, wow, you can actually do this for me. And I tell them, yeah, it just takes a signature and I can let you substitute this credit for this credit. So if you're in our programs and you really want to take a class, we will figure out how to make it work within your elective requirements, and allow you to get the benefit of that, because our job is to give you that opportunity. If that's your interest, then we are there to make it work for you. Okay? Yeah. So we're not rigid and we'll say, no, because it's not in your program, you cannot do this. If it makes sense and we know how to make it work for you, we'll make it work for you.
Nice.
And one thing that Jacob mentioned is, yes, definitely email us. It's nice recognizing names like Patrick. It's nice recognizing your name and being able to, I'd rather a student over ask and make sure that they have all their documentation in, that they're ready to go. And for someone 2 days prior to the deadline, not realizing that they haven't checked their portal and they have a few things to still submit. We're here to assist you, and we want to make sure that everything is going smoothly. And if you have to email me a few times to just confirm, I'd rather you do that, so that way you're prepared for orientation, that you're prepared for classes. And one thing that I really love about our staff is that you can really reach out to all of us. Once you are a student, you're going to be handed off more to Jessica and Stephanie, and they're the same way. You're going to be able to, before this, just stop in their office and be able to check in on your status, or if you have any questions on banquet or being involved in any way. It's really nice that we are a small office and we do have a more of a personalized effect on students to be able to recognize them more, because it's really nice to be able to just come up to a student and know them by name.
And also one final thing I'll say before we end, I know we're running towards the end of our meeting, as this is geared to the international students especially. You know, our relationship, besides being professional, is it also becomes personal, in the sense I have written letters to immigration, for example, for students who are getting their work visas being processed, and the UCIS needs faculty to write a letter to say this student actually qualifies to go and do this job. I've had students email me and say, hey, Prof, my employer has done their part, but UCIS needs faculty to actually write a letter to support that I qualify and my academic credentials are suited for this. I happily will do that for you. Okay, I happily will do that for you. I will happily speak up for you. Once you're our student, we take the responsibility to look out for you the best way we can. Okay, so I just wanted you to be rest assured. You know, I was an international student. I went through the system, okay, and I understand what the system is and what we do. And I've seen Sarah do this extremely well. In fact, with an economics development class, which my students tend to really enjoy. Okay, they always come back and tell me fantastic stories about that class. You know, we take an interest in you. You're not just a statistic. That's the beauty of our program. You're not just a statistic. We take an interest in you. We take an interest in your success. So just keep that in mind when you're going through this process. We're here to make sure you succeed.